All right. Thank you so very much, Daron. And thank you to Aviva and to Zach and to Olga and to everyone at National Library of Israel. This is such an honor and a pleasure to be coming to you live. I know it looks like I'm on a bus tour, but actually I'm live on the streets right now from the city of Palma in Majorca Island. And if you're wondering about my accent, no, I'm not originally from Majorca, Spain. I have not been working on my New Jersey accent for 40 plus years, give or take. I'm actually from the United States. And before I continue introducing myself, I just want to say, Bruchim Abayim, bienvenidos, benvinguts, which is the way you say welcome in Catalan or Mallorquin. It's the dialect that they speak here. And please go ahead and put in the chat. I've seen incredible, unbelievable, where so many people are calling in from. But go ahead and put if you have any connections to Majorca Island. If you've been to Palma before, if you've been to the Balearic Islands, you know, I always love to see, you know, what kind of connections can come from these incredible encounters. Before going any further, I'd love to imagine that we're on a plane right now and you pull up the map that, you know, you're flying over, and we're going to see a map right now of where Majorca is. By the way, I am the founder and owner of Jewish Majorca, spelled Majorca. We like to say we're putting the J back into Majorca. That's how it was spelled in medieval times. And now we're going to see, with the help of Mariano, our incredible virtual bus tour driver, he's going to zoom us into where we are calling in from right now. So if you go closer into the Mediterranean Sea, you'll see a little red dot there that's in between Spain and Italy. And that is the major island of Majorca, part of the 4-island archipelago, the Balearic Islands. So if we go in closer, if we zoom in, you'll see that top right is Menorca, okay? On the bottom left is Ibiza. And just off of Ibiza is a place called Formentera as well, okay? Another island close by. And if we go in closer to the big island in the middle, that's where I am right now. That's Majorca Island, spelled Mallorca, the Spanish and Catalan way of spelling that island. You are going to see the city of Palma. Okay, we're going to go in deeper, and that is where I'm calling from. I am in these tiny, narrow streets, the Jewish quarters of Palma. Okay, there's more than one, and we're going to be exploring the large Jewish quarter. And Mariano is highlighting for you right now the avenue that goes around the city. That used to be where the walls that protected the city, that was only taken down in the late 1800s. So we can take away the map and we can come back to me on the bus. And I just want to remind everyone, we're going to do about a 45-minute to an hour long walking tour. I'm live in the streets, walking through the Jewish quarter of Palma. If you have those questions, put them in the chat. We'll be sure to get to them at the end of the Q&A. And of course, if we can't get to all the questions, we'll share my personal email address and we can stay in touch that way. But before going on any further, before we get off this bus that we have, this 300 plus person bus that we're on right now, I want everyone to imagine what it was like. Some of us haven't traveled in so long. So I'm going to take you on this virtual experience. I want everyone to close your eyes and imagine what it was like, you know, flying into the island of Majorca. I want you to look out your virtual window to your left, look out your virtual window to your right. And these are some of the beautiful images of Majorca Island that you're going to see. And I brought my friend Carlos to put some welcoming Spanish music on in the background. So enjoy this little intro video that we prepared for you all today. So hopefully you got to see a little bit of the beauty that is Majorca Island. And I've been looking at the chat as we were watching that video together. Incredible the amount of connections. So many people have been here a long time ago as well. And yes, I am in touch with Rabbi Shaul Friedberg, who used to be the rabbi here as well, and did some incredible work with the group of people that we're going to be learning about today. But before we go in, like any good tour guide, I'd like to share a little bit about myself. My name is Dani Rotstein. Originally from New Jersey, United States. My father is Moshe Rotstein. He's from Netanya, Israel originally. And my mother is Evie Rotstein. She was working at the Hebrew Union College as director of education there. And I am a TV producer. I produce TV commercials by trade, work in film, went to a place called Wesleyan University in Connecticut. Some of you might have heard of. And it was about 6 years ago when I needed a change. I was overworked and tired in New York, and I needed a break. And I had studied in Madrid when I was in college, loved it. So through networking and connections, I was able to land a job with Palma Pictures, okay, a company here on Majorca. I'd never been here before. But we're looking for an American producer. And so I came here thinking that I might be the only Jew living on the island. You know, I hadn't done my research and I was coming from New York City. So, you know, I was pretty sure I might be the only one here. And I was at work and suddenly when talking with one of my work friends, they said, oh, you know, you're Jewish, you should go to visit the synagogue. And I said, oh, you mean the one I have to dig down deep to get to, like move all the cobwebs? What do you mean? He goes, no, there's one you guys go on Friday night, right? So I looked it up and there certainly was a shul here that was started by British Ashkenazis, expats who came here to retire, and they bought a plot of land to make a Jewish cemetery outside of the city and eventually formed the synagogue, which we go to today in the year 1987. And so I walked in, and now it's more Sephardic by nature, people speaking Spanish. You know, it's traditional, it's Orthodox, so there's a mechitza separating men and women, a divider separates men and women section. And we start davening, and there's no rabbi, there's no chazan, there's just a volunteer that's been, you know, leading services for the last 10, 15 years. And he said we had to skip one of the prayers because we don't have a minyan. A minyan in the Jewish religion is 10 Jews. In the Orthodox tradition, it's 10 Jewish men. And I looked around the men's section and I counted 14 men. I was pretty confused because I'm pretty sure the global number for minyan is the number 10. So I asked the guy next to me very kindly, excuse me, why are we skipping if we have a minyan? We have 14 men here. And he said very nonchalantly, as if everyone here knew this, it was, you know, common knowledge, oh, that's because some of these men are not Jewish. They're chueta. And I'd never heard the term chueta before. Go ahead, please put in the chat if you have heard of the word chueta before this session. I always love to see this. And I actually would like to know as well, if you haven't, maybe you've heard of the word marrano, M-A-R-R-A-N-O, perhaps, more commonly used term. It's a derogatory term. We shouldn't be using it. Marrano, I was taught growing up in New Jersey Hebrew school, means crypto Jew. You know, someone who is secretly keeping their Judaism, or someone who might have Jewish roots. And it's Spanish, but it actually comes from the word marran, which means pig in Old Spanish. And it's really a negative term. It's like someone that's disgusting, shouldn't be eating something. And in fact, I have a quick anecdote. I brought my friend along here for the ride. When I first moved here with my girlfriend, Carla, we adopted a dog that was on the street. His name is Taco. And here's Taco. I'm gonna show you all our friendly dog Taco. And while walking for his first time around the streets, he started eating something disgusting from the street because, you know, he was a street dog. And Carla said, hey, what are you doing, you little marrano? And I was like, is my dog secretly Jewish? Is he secretly keeping Judaism that, you know, that I didn't know about? I couldn't understand, why would she call him this? Because today, in speaking Spanish talk today, vernacular, marrano, again, is this negative term. It's someone who's disgusting, a dirty swine. This is what that comes from. So we really should not be using that word. We should be using the word converso, or in Hebrew, b'nei anusim, children of the forest, okay? And so the word chueta is Catalan. It's actually Mallorquin. It's the dialect of Catalan, the language that they speak here in Majorca Island. And Mariano, let's go ahead and bring up the slide so we can all see how the word chueta is actually spelled. So there you have it, X-U-E-T-A, chueta. Okay, the X is a ch sound. And the chueta are only from Majorca. They are Catholic descendants of the Jewish conversos of Majorca Island, okay? You will not find Chuetas from Ibiza or Chuetas originally from Menorca. No, they are only from Majorca Island. And this was like a huge like epiphany for me when I learned that there were people going to synagogue and not being counted as minyan, but they wanted to connect to their Jewish roots. This happened in the year 2014, 6 years ago, when I just moved here. Let's go right ahead and put up the etymology and where this word might come from. So there's a number of theories. One of them is French. The way you say chien in French is dog, and the way you say a female owl is chouette, okay? And these are like dark, ominous birds. No one likes to be called a dog. I can see perhaps, the negative connotations because it was meant as an insult. Even as recently as, a number of years ago, people would say, oh, stop being so chueta about it. If you didn't want to split the bill or something to that extent. It definitely has the same, negative connotation that Jews will also receive as well. The other term that I don't really go for the French because we don't speak French here, but the other reason is chouya in Catalan means bacon or pork. And if you look on the picture on the bottom right, you see a barbecue. That's a picture that I took from this past January, well, 2 Januaries ago, during the festival San Sebastian here in Palma. It's the city festival. And there is, legend says that the Chuetas were all forced to live in a certain area here in Palma that, they were always trying to prove how Catholic they were to the other Catholics. So they would take out their grills and their barbecues and be cooking bacon and pork in public for everyone to see, to prove that they are no longer keeping kashrut. They are no longer practicing Judaism. There's deeper legends that say some of these families might have done this outwardly, but actually not been eating bacon or pork inside their homes. So that's just a little bit of the background of the word shuya and shuyeta, almost like marrano and maran, very similar. The last term, and we can take down the slide because I want to show everyone what I'm looking at right now. Here I am on the streets. This is part of an old Roman wall because the Romans did, first take over Palma in the year 167 Common Era. And this is a bit of the last wall here. I want to show you what I'm looking at right now. This is a sign for the Jewish History Museum, the Center of Maimo Ben Farad. And it says the Interpretation Center of the Jewish Quarters of Palma. There's that word, jueu. Jueu in Catalan means Jew. And so jueto is not a nice way to call someone Jewish. It's like you little Jew. Jueto and chueto certainly sound very similar. So today, we're going to be exploring the Jewish quarter of Palma. And I'm going to take you from place to place and show you the few pieces that remain of this incredible Jewish, Converso, and Chueta history. But first, it'd be so much fun to take you into this interpretation center. So we're going to go right in here. But unfortunately, it is closed because tourism is still halted with the arrival of COVID. So we can't go in. I'm so sorry, but we can go in because we have a pre-recorded video of me inside with another group going through the history of the medieval Jewish quarter and the Jewish history here. So while I go to the next stop, you guys are going to virtually transport yourself into the museum behind me and watch this next clip while I move to the next location. See you all in a little bit.
"70 years after the birth of Christ, Second Temple is destroyed, and that's when the second diaspora, the people, Jews leaving Israel, was created. So we believe that there are Jews living here since after that time. A lot of Jews came as slaves with Romans, and the Romans, were one of the first people to settle in Majorca. And we know that there's been Jews here because we found this piece. It's a lamp with a menorah on it, and they say that it dates back to the 4th century or 5th century. And we also know because there's a famous letter, it's amazing that documents have been preserved, by the Bishop Severus, who talks about wanting to convert the Jewish community, not of Majorca, but of Menorca. And this was in the year 418, Common Era, okay? So we know that there's a Jewish community living in Menorca, so we can assume maybe that if there's Jews living in Menorca, perhaps there's Jews living in Majorca as well. So we start seeing Jewish presence in the 400s, okay? There's not a lot of information, but basically we believe that there's been Jews in Majorca, in the Balearic Islands, through lots of different people conquering the islands, right? The Almohads, the Visigoths, the Vandals, and the Moros, okay? The Moros from North Africa were in control of Majorca. They called it Medina Majorca from around the 900s to 1229. 1229 is an important year because it's when Jaime I comes, and he comes from Aragon and he conquers Majorca, okay? And they believe that he brought many Jews with him from the mainland. They were helping to finance a lot of his conquest. And we know that there were Jews living quite happily under Muslim rule because it's been documented that when he came, there were Jews already waiting for him. So the Jews that were already living here and the Jews that came from mainland came, and they began with these Jewish quarters, which is amazing to see. That right where the cathedral is, that actually used to be a mosque, okay, so they built the cathedral on top of the mosque, and right in front of the cathedral is the palace of Al-Mudaina. They believe that's the first Jewish quarter of Majorca. That's where the Jews lived when they were under Muslim rule. When Jaime I came, he moved the Jewish quarter to what's known as the Cai Menor, the small Jewish quarter, which is around Segel, Jaime II, and San Bartholomew Street, okay? Right where the Barcelona football store is, right in the middle, and the Banco de España, very close to Plaza Mayor. This is incredible that they built this Jewish quarter, and Jews from all over the Mediterranean started to come to Majorca, from Alexandria, from Marseille, from all over. Why? Why would Jews come to Majorca in this time? Yeah, trade, exactly. If you look at Majorca on the map, it's perfectly located for all of trade routes, all of movements, because at that time, that is the world for those people. They hadn't discovered, Christopher Columbus is in 1492, they haven't discovered other places around the globe. So Majorca is in a great position, and this is Palma. It's a beautiful city, well protected, big harbor, and so this Jewish quarter is not big enough for all the Jews that are coming, so the king at the time decides to give them Cai Mayor, okay, the larger Jewish quarter. So at the same time, you have a small Jewish quarter and a larger Jewish quarter. We're going to be walking through the larger Jewish quarter today. What we're seeing today are places where a synagogue used to be, places where the Jewish quarter had important landmarks to it. Here is just a nice map showing where all the different synagogues they believe used to be. Okay, we're going to go visit a couple. This is a beautiful map showing the 3 cemeteries they believe were outside of the city wall. In Jewish religion, at that time, the cemeteries were going to always be outside the city wall, on a slope, and near water. Very similar to Montjuic. Have you guys heard of Montjuic in Barcelona? It means Mount of the Jews. They know that there was a cemetery there in medieval times. Okay, so here's our Jewish quarter and the cemeteries outside of it. There are so many incredible Jewish characters, people that are living, that are from Majorca, like rabbis, philosophers, map makers, mathematicians, doctors, scientists. I mean, they contributed so much. What's that?
Columbus as well.
Maybe Christopher Columbus, exactly, might have Jewish roots. So here is a map by the father and son team, probably the most famous Jews from Majorca. Their names? Right. Hafuda ben Cresques, Yehuda, son of Cresques, and his father is Cresques ben Abraham, okay? A lot of people think that, oh, the Cresques family. No, not true. It's Cresques ben Abraham is the dad, and Yehuda ben Cresques is the son. And they made this map in 1375, and as you can see, Spain, Balearic Islands, Corsica, Sardinia, Italy, Greece, and all the way over here, what is it? Israel, right, is the country. And on all of his maps, he put a red slab of paint, a red, something marking this area with a red dash. What do you guys think that might represent for him on a map? Yes, the Red Sea. That's right. So for him, Yehuda Cresques is living in Majorca, but he's always making a point to mention and to call out Israel, because for him, he's Jewish, and he always wants to be going back to Zion, going back to the land of his forefathers. And that's important when we start to talk about in the next room about forced conversions and how important religion is in that time frame. The one thing I will add is that there is a very famous rabbi named Rabbi Simon ben Sema-Duran. He has to leave after the attack of 1391. He goes to Algeria. He becomes a really big rabbi. I believe he's called the Tashbats, if I'm not mistaken, in Talmudic learning. And a lot of people know of this rabbi, but don't know that he's from Majorca, because he went to Algeria, where he's become like the big rabbi of Algeria. But he's originally from Majorca, which is very interesting. Let's all move to the other room, where we're gonna learn more about what happens next.
All right, we are back out on the streets, and I just want to remind everyone we are live. So we're working with, data charges and internet, Wi-Fi, all of that good stuff. So thank you for understanding with the technical difficulties. Something I was remiss to say is that the Chuetas here in Majorca are from 15 families, okay? These are the Catholic descendants of the Jewish conversos. First, there were Jews here, which we just learned in this last video, medieval Jews, a huge, incredible, powerful, potent Jewish community from Majorca Island. It was the center of trade. It was incredible. And then later on, there was a mass conversion of 1435, which we'll learn about later. And then there were crypto Jews, people who were actually secretly keeping their Judaism. And then until the late 1600s, there was, the Inquisition was here during this time, unfortunately assassinated, murdered when they discovered these crypto Jews as late as 1691. And then their descendants are these 15 family names, which we're going to see later. And everyone here, if you have this last name, if you're above a certain age, you know that that name is Chueta and that they come from the Jews. And they were ostracized. They were marginalized for centuries. And probably most interestingly for us, that they were forced to marry within these 15 families up until as late as the 1920s, 1930s, 1940s. And there are still some today, when you look at their family tree, only have these 15 families. We're gonna learn more about that later. Right now, I'm on the street, and I wanna introduce you to a friend of mine who you just learned about before. That's Yehuda ben Kreskes, okay? Many of you will have heard of Maimonides, the famous rabbi and scholar from Cordoba. Some of you might know Nachmanides, who is a rabbi from Girona. I'm calling our friend here Jephmanides, okay? Yehuda ben Kreskes, and I'm gonna just flip the camera so we can get to see him a little bit closer. And this was put here in the year 2007. And this is the most famous Jewish Majorcan, him and his father, Kreskes ben Abraham. You see he has the maps here. He has compass. And this statue is sitting right outside the CAI, okay? The C-A-L-L. That's in Catalan, the way you say Jewish quarter, okay? There's Taco hanging out with us today. So you can see the City Hall of Palma, Yehuda ben Kreskes. They forgot the son of Ben here. Built in 2007, and it says, during the 14th century, Kreskes ben Abraham and his son, Yehuda, lived and worked in the workshop here as world famous cartographers, and they called the city of Majorca home, the Jewish quarter. And you would have seen in the earlier video, he made the famous Catalan Atlas in 1375. And yeah, you can see that they're very proud of their famous Jewish Majorcan. There actually is a Catholic school named after him, and many, many different streets named after him as well. His history is interesting. He made this map in 1375, and then there was an attack that we're going to learn about now in 1391 on the Jewish quarter that's right behind me. He survived, but he would then, it's believed that he converted and went to Portugal, went to Sagres, where he was known as Jacome, okay? Jacome Maestro, Jacome de Majorca, and he started the famous cartography school of Portugal after leaving Majorca. And there's some legends about that here in Majorca. His school was very secret. I mean, this was very important to have these maps. He would draw the maps out on the sand, and then after class with his students, he would wipe the sand away so no one would get the secrets of his incredible map. Let's go ahead and put on the next video while I move on to the next location. And now we're going to learn about that famous attack that I was just telling you about. See you in a jiffy.
We're going to learn about, unfortunately, the persecution and the attacks on the Jewish quarter of Palma in here, and its results. I will say this. I like to end on a happy note. So there is a happy ending to this story, but I want to warn you in advance that what we're going to learn about right now can be very, very sad, to say the least. 1391 is the bad year for the Jews, many parts of Jews in Spain. Everyone thinks 1492, when they edict of expulsion. Actually, the bad time has happened a full century beforehand. 1391, Here in Majorca, a bunch of the population from outside the city is very upset. Why? They're paying lots of taxes. There's famine. They're hungry. The Black Plague has come through in 1350. Many had passed away from the pesta, I believe it's called in Spanish. And so they came to attack the city of Palma, not attack, but to express their discontent, not so much with the Jews in Majorca. From what I understand, it was more against the nobles and the aristocracy, the people that were in charge, okay? Now it's interesting, there are attacks in other parts of Spain against the Jews, in Sevilla, in Barcelona, in Valencia, in Tarragona, same year as well, which I always find fascinating that it all happened at the same time. A couple things of why there is anti-Jewish sentiment. I like to know the why. As I mentioned before, there was a Black Plague going on around this time in the 1300s. What is happening at that time? The Christians are coming together, they're building churches, lots and lots of churches. So what do you do at a church? You get everyone together, and you're bringing people together. This is a way to potentially spread disease. Another thing is pilgrimages, right? Everyone's going, have you heard of the Camino de Santiago Compostela? So people are going to different places and also potentially spreading disease. And the last thing I'll mention is hygiene. What do we know about the Jewish religion? For those here that know a little bit, what are some things that we do to keep ourselves clean or to practice hygiene? Any idea? Yes, we have something called a mikveh, right? So a Jewish bath that women go once a month to purify themselves following the cycle of menstruation. And so, yeah, they have ritual baths, the Jews, to keep clean. Netilat Yadayim, we say a blessing to wash our hands before we eat on Friday night dinner, on Shabbat. Kashrut, to be kosher. The way they kill animals and eat our food, they kill the animal in a certain way, they use salt, they drain the blood. I mean, there's a lot of hygiene involved in all the laws of how to eat. And so when you look at the Jewish quarter, because they're all living in a certain area, not as many people are dying, from these plagues as opposed to the rest of the population. So of course that will come up with, ooh, they're bad. Look at them, the chosen people. They're putting a curse on us. Maybe they're poisoning our wells, our food. So automatically there is creating distrust and issues between the two religions. So that's interesting. That's from a religious and hygiene perspective. Let's talk about jobs. They had to do stuff involving trade and merchants, using stuff with their hands. And another very important thing I'm looking for? Banking, exactly. So here we see the first time of Jews and money, okay, which everyone knows is a big stereotype. There's a reason why Jews and money are connected. It's because that's the jobs that they were almost allowed to do. A Catholic at that time is not allowed to lend money to another Catholic and charge interest. Not allowed by the Catholic Church. So the king, in his infinite wisdom, said, okay, if the Christians can't do it to another Christian, we'll let the Jews do it to the other Christians and lend money. So that's why Jews became money lenders. And so they were very connected to their aristocracy, because they would be going off fighting their wars and then need money and come back to the Jewish community and say, can we have some more money? And the Jew would lend money and charge interest to the Christian. So also, not putting the Jew in a very good position, right? So this, again, 1391, I've read that some of the Jewish quarters, before there were attacks, people would come in and burn books. Why would they burn books? What's in the books? The debts. The notes that who owes what. So if you burn a book, then you don't have any more debt. Very similar, if you kill the person you owe money to, then you don't have to pay that money back. So that's also something to think about what's happening here. 1391, farmers come into the city. The police actually come out and try and prevent them. They can't, there's too many people. They run up to the Belver Castle. You've seen Castillo Belver. It means beautiful view castle. It's ironic, I'll tell you why in a second. They go up to the Belver Castle where they're safe. And then one of the revolt leaders, Luis Belvier, yells out to the Jewish quarter, because they couldn't get into the Belver Castle. They come here. There's a massacre. They kill over 300 men, women, and children out of a population of around 3,000 in the Jewish quarter. They even kill Christians who were trying to hide and keep safe some of the Jews. And there's no one to protect the Jewish quarter because they're all safe in the Belver Castle. Beautiful view. Irony is they have a beautiful view of the Palmas Jewish quarter being attacked. It did not destroy the Jewish quarter like in other places, like in Inca. There was an attack on the Jewish quarter in Inca, and that was it. No more Jewish quarter, no more Jewish community in Inca after this year.
All right, so we are back here live on the streets. We are on the street of Pelleteria, Carrer de Pelleteria. Pelleteria comes from the word piel, which means leather, which means skins. Anyone who worked with animal skins would have lived on this street. All of the different streets in the Jewish quarter usually would have different names like Glassmaker Street or Butcher Street. This is Leathermaker Street, and right next door is Buttonmaker Street. And Buttons, Carrer de Botones, is actually where the old house of Jafuda and his father Crescas would have lived. So I'm here showing you the street because I'm trying to have you all take a look around. Lots of graffiti, as you can see, unfortunately. And tell me if you see anything that has, anything with Hebrew letters on it or anything that might, associate yourself with Judaism. The trick here is you're not here with me live in person, so you can't be looking down at what I want to be showing you. So here, right in the ground, is a golden plaque, okay? And if you can tell, it is in the shape of the Iberian Peninsula, right? This is Spain and Portugal. Here's Madrid in the middle, here's Barcelona, here's the Balearic Islands. We've got to put ourselves here one day. And if people can make it out, go right ahead in the chat. If you see some Hebrew letters, I'll start, showing you. This is a very artistic Samech, this is a Fe, this is a Resh, and this is an artistic Dalet. This spells Sepharad. Sepharad. Sepharad in Hebrew means Spain. Okay, we know that there are Ashkenazi Jews coming from Eastern Europe, Germany, Russia, as well as many other places. And then Sephardic Jews come from Spain and Portugal. 1492 is the year of the expulsion. They left and went to North Africa, went to Greece, went to Turkey. And of course, many crypto Jews would have gone to the Americas, would have gone to Amsterdam. They would have left the Iberian Peninsula. So this plaque was placed here over 12 years ago, and they're in over 20 different cities all over Spain. It's pretty incredible. They're in Toledo, they're in Barcelona, they're in Girona, they're in Cordoba, and they're in many other places which you may have not heard of. Hervás, Tudela, Jaén, 20 different cities all over Spain, and they're placed whenever there is a place that, somewhere here that has Jewish relevance, Jewish heritage, okay? So what I like to show here that not many people see automatically is this large cross in the wall, because we are at the site of the secret synagogue. We are at the site of the new synagogue. Why new? Because it was created after the 1391 attack. So there's two theories going on here. One is mine and one is another tour guide's here about this cross. So one would be, my theory is that perhaps this wasn't a cross at first. This was just a line, because in Girona and in Barcelona, you will see spots for a mezuzah. Mezuzah is the Jewish doorpost that has a very special the Shema inside of it, and this is perhaps you can see that there's actually some nails that something would have been fastened in here, perhaps, and then maybe after the forced conversion, they would have taken this mezuzah and turned it into a cross. I don't think this is from medieval times, but perhaps this is an homage to that. The other theory that my colleague says is that this might have been actually the place, not this building per se, but where a fake synagogue would have been, because if there ever was another attack, the Jews would want them to go to the wrong synagogue and not go to where the secret synagogue might have been, which we believe is through these doors. Okay, we do have historians that have marked this building, this area, this site as where the Synagoga Nova, the new synagogue, would have been. Okay, and if you go closely, you can actually see some markings here on the side, a cross over perhaps a granada, which could be a pomegranate, and also an orb. Orb is like a cross over the world, showing Catholic dominance. And there's some theories here, some legend that say that this could be, where the mezuzah might have been placed, because if you're going to put a mezuzah up here, that's very obvious to go and touch it, where here it's a little bit more discreet, okay? And I've actually had some Israelis on my tour who've gone to northern Portugal who've said that they've actually kept their mezuzah in their pockets. So when they came in, they would take it out and put it back in. So there's a couple interesting things here. This was a bakery for the last 100 years, in the 1800 or 200 years, I believe. There is an oven that I've seen with my own eyes from the 1500s inside there. This place used to be called Can Miquel, okay? And there's Miquel, a very gregarious man who would invite tourists to come in and say, my bakery is in the place of the secret synagogue of the Jewish quarter. And there you have Sapelleteria, that's the Leathermaker Street right there. And if you look up, he passed away, unfortunately, from cancer in 2014. It says, Miquel Pujo Ferragut, we used to make sweet the lives of the neighbors here of Palma. with his bakery on Leathermaker Street during medieval times was the new synagogue of the Jewish quarter, okay? And so there's quite fascinating things about this particular place. One is a map that I'd like to show you, because what you can't see is on the other side of this building, there's an alleyway that stops dead end behind this building. So that could, we have the map at some point where we can share it with you. But it's fascinating to think that, perhaps there would have been, if there was a fake synagogue across the street, that would have been used as an escape route, to go out the other side. Or to be more discreet, you would walk in one way and leave another way. That might be another reason why there's two entrances. And the third theory could be an entrance for men and an entrance for women. So you see that dead end street, that's the only one of two dead end streets that exist here in the Jewish quarter. And the last thing I'll show you is that this, building has been abandoned since 2014. I mean, there is an owner, but they haven't done anything with it. And now they just started renovations. They're going to make it into high-end luxury apartments, which is so sad in my opinion, because it's my personal dream that this could become one day the future JCC, the future Jewish Community Center of Majorca. It's a rather large building. It goes all the way to the end there. And one day recently, about 3 months ago, I was walking by and the door was open. I popped my head in and I spoke to the son of the owner, who allowed me to go and see. And now I'm going to show you some pictures of me. He showed me the oven that's from the 1500s, which is just incredible. And that's actually why this building has been protected now. You can't do anything to that oven because it's so old. It's from the 1500s. And he was still in use. He was still making the famous ensaimada, which is a famous bread, which we'll probably talk about on another presentation if you follow us and come along for the ride. Here's a shot of me. He showed me the secret tunnels that are underneath this building. There are tunnels that connect many different locations all over the Jewish quarter here in Palma. And so I went in and it didn't go very far because the other neighbors have closed them up. Obviously, they don't want random people coming into their homes in the middle of the night. But that was a pretty spectacular find that just happened, 3 or 4 months ago. So you guys are on this journey with me now as we continue to discover. Let's go ahead and go to our next video while I move to the next location and see you all in a little bit.
1492, we know that the Catholic kings, Ferdinand and Isabella, expelled all the Jews from Spain. They had 4 months to get their things and leave. In Majorca, we're an island. There isn't this option. And before that, 1435, there's another rumor that gets said that the rabbis had taken a Muslim slave and almost reenacted the Passion of Christ. There's this terrible myth that Jews killed Jesus, and so in the churches they were, promoting this kind of blasphemy, and so there's this rumor that goes about. Again, the population wants to annihilate all of the Jews, and so the rabbis say, instead of please don't kill all of us, how about we convert? So there's a mass conversion, okay? Hundreds of Jews go into a church that we're going to see today as Jews, they get baptized, and they come out as Christians. This is very, very important, because if you're one person and you want to convert, okay, I can believe that. That's an honest conversion. But if you're a group of people and you all go to get converted at the same time, maybe it's not a real conversion. Maybe you're doing it to save yourself. And so, do you think that the Christians, upon their conversion, reacted like, hello, welcome, my new brothers, can't wait to teach you all the cool things about Jesus Christ Superstar? Probably not. They probably said, we don't trust you, we suspect that you're doing this to save yourself, we're going to create something called the Inquisition that's going to find out who's a true convert and who's still practicing the law of Moses, secret in behind closed doors. So when 1492 happened, saying all the Jews have to leave Spain, there are no Jews left in Majorca, because 60 years before that, they'd all been converted. So that's super, super important, because in other places in Spain, you could get on your horse and go to North Africa or go to the Pyrenees, France. But in the island, there's not an option to leave. It's either convert or die. Those are your options. You need a lot of money to get on a boat and go somewhere else. And people did do that. They were able to escape. A lot of places people went to is Livorno, okay, in Italy. And there's a saying, I believe, in Mallorquin that once you go to Livorno, no retorno, go to Livorno, like they say that here. And it comes from the times of when the Jews would would leave. And in Livorno, it was a merchant state. It was not run by the papacy, so Jews were accepted there. But once you got to Livorno, you were with other Jews, you weren't ever going to come back to Majorca. So it's very, very interesting. 1435, big, important year. We come to these panels right here.
So we just learned about the famous conversion, the mass conversion of 1435 that took place here in Palma. Incredible to learn about this history while living here. This was just such an eye-opening thing for me. And now I'm taking you down one of these narrow streets, very indicative of the Jewish quarter here in Palma. And we're going to see another type of conversion, but not about people, but more about a building. So, ladies and gentlemen, please focus here as we're walking down the street, and you are now looking at the famous Church of Mount Zion. That is the name of this Jesuit church, okay, being here since the 1500s. And yes, indeed, this was the site of the Synagoga Mayor, the great synagogue of Palma. Okay, this is the street we just would have walked down. This is Carrer de Crianza, Street of Childhood, and Carrer de Montesión is the name of this main artery that we are now in, the Jewish quarter, the Street of Mount Zion. Okay, and this was a synagogue not that long, really only from the year 1300 to 1315. And we understand that it was taken down in 1322, but perhaps some basic remnants remain. And this is just an incredible facade that was finished in the year 1683. Okay, it was given to the Jesuits to take over. And this has been a convent, which is right down there. And that's also Seminary Road and Escola Road, which we believe the yeshivas, when it was the Jewish quarter, was down that way. And now what I'd like to do is take you down the side street right here. Okay, we're going to go down a street called Carrer del Vent, Street of the Wind. And what you can't feel right now is that when I turn the corner, there's a lot of air, a lot of wind that's coming at me. I'm going to show you a couple things as we walk down this street. One, well, there's almost always a car that comes whenever I walk down the street. This is Murphy's Law. So let's let the car pass. This is live. This is all happening in real time. Thank you so much for your understanding. Now this area, the Jewish quarter, is kind of like the Soho of Palma. This is like where all the old mansions used to be. And now they've been converted into beautiful, very, very expensive apartments. So this is one of the access roads to the Jewish quarter. Here you have the difference. Do you see the difference between stone here? There are some historians and believe, archaeologists, that these stones might be part of the original foundation of the synagogue. The next thing I want to show you is you see that there's an outline here, like there was like an old gate or an old door. Excuse me, pardon the wind. You can hear the wind now, I believe, right? So there are also believe that this might have been the entrance to the old synagogue. This is facing east, this is facing Jerusalem. I don't really go for that because I know that the synagogue, was destroyed in 1322. The last bit I want to show you is this line. Do you see this line that goes down the side of the building right here? I'm going to put my finger to it. See, it goes all the way down here. There is legend from some Chuetas who have now returned to Judaism. There's about 12 or 15 that now go to the synagogue that have made the official return or conversion to Judaism. And they told me that, legend in their families was that some Chueta families, as a way of connecting to their Jewish past, very discreetly would walk down the Street of the Wind and rub their hands up along the side of the Mount Zion Church as a way of connecting to their old Jewish past. As you can see, it runs all the way down here. Now, could it be caused by a Mazda Miata or a horse and carriage? Of course. But these are stories that I'm passing on to you that were told to me. Hola, ¿qué tal? The last bit I want to show is actually this part of the wall that looks very, very old, that has lots of nooks and crannies. And yes, if you are thinking the same thing that I am, we took a look at this and we said, you know what, this reminds us of the Kotel. So actually, we offer this as an opportunity for anyone who would like to come and to hopefully you can see me, to come and, go ahead and connect with if they'd like to. And so now we've just started this ritual of people coming, whoever would like to, and, have a chance to put a wish, a dream, a hope, or a desire, into this wall that is part of the the side of the church. And this has been going on for about a year or two now. And it's incredible that people are coming here and finding ways to connect if they'd like to. And the final piece, oh, that's what it was. I was going to show you all as an honor of National Library of Israel to put a note that I had prepared earlier as well. The last bit, I've heard other guides coming by here and saying that they see Hebrew in the stones. Now, I personally don't see any. I'll let you guys all decide for yourself. Maybe I can move back and you can see. The reason why I believe they say that is because in Barcelona, there are buildings that have tombstones taken from medieval Jewish cemetery of Montjuic, that's Mount of the Jews in Barcelona, and used to create the buildings there. So now our virtual bus tour driver, Mariano, thank you so much. We'll show some pictures of that in Barcelona, not here in Majorca. But I guess some people have learned and heard about this and seen it for themselves. And so perhaps have tried to, to create or at least think that it's existing here as well. And so what I'd like to do now is I'm gonna turn it over to Daron. I'm sure there's many questions and I'm happy, actually, before we do that, if you don't mind, Mariano, I know you have perhaps not prepared, I'd love to show the 15 names of the Chuetas because I do believe that there's some people who are even on our Zoom today that have these last names. I saw them in the chat before, so I think that's actually fascinating. I did see someone saying that they're from Puerto Rico and have the last name Pomar, P. And so we're going to see these 15 last names, and then we'll have an opportunity for questions and answer. And I have one other video that I would really love to share with everyone while I walk to that site as well. So there you have it. Those are linaje. Linaje means last name in Mallorquin. And it's like lineage, you know, these are the family lines, the 15 families. Now, many people see Miro and they get excited when they see that because they know the famous artist Joan Miró, who actually is from Barcelona. So he's not Chueta. If you are Miró family from Barcelona, you're not Chueta. But if you are the Miró family from Majorca, then you are Chueta. And you for sure have Jewish roots without a shadow of a doubt. And so Miró actually moved to Majorca and then ended up dying here. And if you ever come to visit, there's an incredible museum where he had his workshop. So you can go and visit that. And so, yeah, so these are the 15 family names of the Chuetas. And I'm happy, Daron, to open up the questions and hang on for as long as we can to continue sharing more information.
Thank you very much, Dani. The first question is about statistics. Do you have offhand any kind of numbers of how many Jews lived there at any given time, and especially during the periods that you were speaking of?
Yeah, we believe that at its height, that the Jewish quarter got to be around 2,000 or 3,000 people strong, which would have been about 30% of the city at that time. So, you know, there was a really large Jewish population during medieval times. And then, you know, obviously, we don't have exact numbers of how many of descendants lived. I mean, during the Autos de Fe, during the Inquisition fires, in 1688, for example, there was a famous boat escape. About 40 crypto Jews ended up being caught because a big storm came up and did not let them leave. And so over 237 people were accused of crypto Judaizing in Majorca, which is a lot. That's a large amount of people to be accused of. And then unfortunately in May of 1691, there were 37 Chuetas burned at the stake, crypto Jews burned at the stake. And 3 of them were actually burned alive because they would not give up their Judaism. And their names are Rafaelet Benito Taronji, Caterina Taronji, and Rafael Vaz. And it was after this date of 1691 that the crypto Jews, you know, officially stopped secretly practicing their Judaism, we believe. And then the term Chueta, the derogatory term, was created, and they were forced to live in a certain area. Today, there's about, we believe, 20,000 Chuetas living on the island, of which there's about 10 or 15 that I mentioned before that have returned or converted to Judaism. And that's not to say that there's probably many more with people with Chueta names in their families that live in Puerto Rico and Cuba and Latin America and, you know, many different places that are perhaps where people from on this call. The other thing I'd mention is that today in Majorca, we believe there's about 1,000 Jews living here. I didn't know anyone when I moved here, and I now probably am contacted between over 300 to 400. And a lot of people come here, down from England or from Germany or France. They have perhaps another home here, or they come for vacation. So we have a lot of snowbirds, let's call it, people that come and go out of the island. But right now we're a small community. The Jewish community of the Balearic Islands is CJIB, Comunidad Judía de Islas Baleares, is the name. And, we're doing the best we can. And actually, very excitingly, I want to share with you the news that we just confirmed our first rabbi, almost since the times of Rabbi Shaul Freeberg, which I saw some people in the chat are familiar with. So for the past 10 years or plus, we've not had a rabbi, but just in June, we confirmed a rabbi who lives in Israel. Believe it or not, he is Chueta. There are two people from Majorca who are Chueta who have become rabbis that live in Israel. Joseph Fuster, originally named Pep Fuster, and Rabbi Nisan Ben Abraham, who is our new rabbi. He is originally named Nikolai Agilo, and he made Aliyah. He moved to Israel in 1979, and he converted to Judaism because his mother is not Chueta. And he is an ultra-Orthodox rabbi living in Shiloh with 12 children, and he's coming once a month to help us out with, lead us, to guide us, to be our spiritual leader, and to lead our services, and to help anyone else also who's interested in Gior, who's interested in conversion. So sorry, a long answer about statistics. What else could I help you with?
Thank you very much. So to continue that, Sarah asked, what kosher facilities are available, if at all, and are there any Jewish schools?
So there are no Jewish schools yet. It's my dream and goal to create a Jewish day school, perhaps an ORT or something connected to the JCC. I have a 2.5-year-old son named Oren. I hope that he can grow up with Jewish friends and Jewish education here on the island. We do not have any kosher restaurants nor any kosher supermarkets, but the synagogue does fly in frozen kosher meat, and we keep that in the kosher kitchen of the synagogue. And obviously, when tourists come by, they go to the synagogue and they can get the frozen kosher meat and kosher wine. But currently, we have a woman in the community who's baking fresh challah and Shabbat meals during high season for people that are coming. And it's complicated. It's not an easy thing living here in Spain, as you can imagine. There's a lot of pork products everywhere you look. And I'm just showing you really quickly that we came from the Jewish quarter here. I want to share with you, everyone, this beautiful view. I thought it would be so lovely to end with this view, the cathedral, actually, that was built from 1300 to the year 1600, to 300 years to build. And it used to be, it's one of the only cathedrals in the world that was built on the water. So you can see this is all man-made. This lake right here, that highway over there, the Mediterranean Sea used to come up to these walls. And if you'll allow me just for a second, I'd love to share with you a really special event, since it's becoming the time of the year right about now. Last year, almost a year ago, we have been doing the month of Jewish culture here in Majorca with the City Hall representatives. And they helped with Limud Majorca, which is an organization, the chapter, Limud is a global organization, but we started Limud Majorca here. And we are doing, events to, share Jewish culture with anyone who is interested in learning about it, celebrating the diversity of Judaism. And we did a concert of Ladino, Hebrew, Yiddish, all of it right here underneath the cathedral. Blew the shofar in honor of the New Year. So I'm going to show you that quick video, and then we'll come back to the questions.
The shofar is not exactly a musical instrument. Its sound is not melodious or even pleasant. It is a ram's horn we blast directly without a mouthpiece. It is a sound that calls us to introspection and self-reflection, but also to action, to improve the world we live in.
Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Avinu Malkeinu, Haneinu, Haneinu.
So there you have it. Really such a special moment last year. And this year, we're waiting to get approved that we're going to do Sukkot in a public setting and build a sukkah in a general public area and have people come as ushpuzim, as guests, come every night to sit in the sukkah. And, we're doing the best we can to, bring more Yiddishkeit and bring more Jewish life into the city of the island of Majorca and all of the Balearics. So thank you all for joining us. Feel free to ask any other questions, Daron. Have time here.
Yes, Sarah asked if who put up the plaques that say Sfarad.
That's an organization named La Red de la Juderia. That's the network of the Jewish quarters of Spain, and that is like a governmental national organization. It's not Jewish, not started by Jews, and this was a way of the Spaniards trying to kind of reclaim their Jewish roots and show off their incredible, beautiful medieval quarters that they have here. Of course, it was an interest in tourism for sure, and there's about 20 cities that form a part of it. Many local Spaniards go to visit, these different Jewish quarters all over Spain. But I don't think, at least for here in Palma, they didn't need more tourism. So Palma actually just left the network. They were paying upwards of 20,000 euros a year just to be in the network, but they weren't really receiving anything for it because, there wasn't that much, Jewish or Israeli tourists that were flocking over here because of those plaques. So they've now ceased to be a part of the network, but they're keeping the plaques in because it's going to cost money to remove them. So I don't think they'll be taking them out anytime soon. Any other questions?
Yes, there are a few more. So Richard asked, is there any authoritative historical book on the Jews of Majorca?
Yes, there's some wonderful, fascinating books. And I don't know if Mariano, perhaps you can write them down, but the best one that I would highly recommend is by Baruch Brownstein. It's called The Chuetas of Majorca, written in the year 1936. A rabbi from New York comes to Spain, opens up the Inquisition books in Madrid, comes to Majorca, meets the Chuetas themselves that were still living here in the 1930s, pretty separated, pretty ostracized, pretty marginalized still. And it's just a fascinating book, one I highly, highly recommend. The other one would be called The Conversos of Majorca. That's one by Angela Selke, S-E-L-K-E. And the last one is by Kenneth Moore, called Those of the Street, written in the 70s. He's actually an American professor who's passed away now. But those are really the only three books that I'm familiar with, nonfiction, that talk about the Chuetas. It's quite fascinating. And I hope that everyone can come visit our website. If you'll just allow me to say a couple words, Daron, that they can get on our newsletter, because we just finished filming a documentary about everything that I've been explaining to you, about learning about the Chuetas, about some of them returning to their Jewish roots, and about the revival that's taking place here today with, us trying to, get the synagogue in order and trying to build a stronger, more powerful Jewish community for the future. So be on the lookout for that documentary. And well, Daron, I'll let you know, or you'll let me know when is a good time to share any other upcoming programs that we'd like to share with everyone.
Absolutely, thank you. There are many requests for your email as well. People would like to stay in touch with you. And there are many, many compliments in the chat room. People absolutely enjoyed this thoroughly.
So nice.
I will send you the transcript so you can read all the compliments and the requests for information as well. Charlie asked, is there a way to volunteer for the Jewish community of Majorca, like for a few months after COVID?
Yeah, absolutely. By going to limudmajorca.com, and hopefully Mariano can put that website up. We're always looking for volunteers. We're definitely looking for people to help join us. We're going into public schools and teaching about the Holocaust. We're obviously doing these guided routes now, teaching the people themselves about their own history, because it's not something that's really being taught about in school. My dear good friend Laura Miro Boni, who's a young historian and writer, just came out with 2 books about Chuetas. She's Chueta herself. She was doing a master's in history here in Majorca. And when the teacher asked who has heard of the Chuetas, no one raised their hand except for her. And that's pretty much because she is someone of Chueta descent. So there's a lot of education that needs to be done here. And that's, I think, what Limud Majorca is trying to do its work. Also community building, making one big tent that anyone and everyone should find a place here. And that's something that's difficult. Many Chuetas have returned via halachic or ultra Orthodox Judaism. And so then there's people who might have had a different upbringing, like myself. I was raised Reform and conservative. How can we make this still one community, right, Daron? Like not break up like where it happens, unfortunately, so many other places. So Limud is really intent on showing off the diversity of the Jewish spirit, the Jewish culture, Jewish religion, and letting everyone, become in and celebrate and participate in all of the Jewish holidays and Shabbat. So it's really, it's really, really special.
Thank you very much. Dean asks, how are the Catholics receiving the Jewish revival?
I'll lead that into another question, which I get very often, is if I've experienced anti-Semitism here. The truth be told is no. It's not so much anti-Semitism, it's just plain ignorance. So often when I go into schools or if I do tours here for locals and I speak in Spanish, for example, I ask, has anyone met a Jew before? And no one raises their hand. It's not like there's a large Jewish community. There's an island here of 1 million people. I believe there might be 1,000 Jews, So I have not experienced anti-Semitism. I've just experienced sheer interest, like, oh, wow, you're Jewish. I've never met someone Jewish before. What's that like? And so, I've invited, many Catholic friends of mine to my house for Purim or for Hanukkah or even Shabbat as well. And I have to say, there's a very nice reaction so far. I don't know what's to come, but especially the documentary that we just finished has been very well received so far in Majorca. A lot of people are interested in learning about it. So far here in Majorca, we have not had to suffer, any negative experiences.
Thank you so much. There now people are waking up, and there are over 50 comments and thank yous and things that I haven't even been able to look at. I do want to say that a lot of people are asking for your email and for information to be in touch with you and to see other things that you do. I will open microphones for people once Dani is done putting his information in. Also, people are asking if you could re-mention those book names because it was kind of hard to hear.
Sure.
Thank you all once more for being here from all over the world. Thank you, Dani. This was wonderful. Laila Tov from Jerusalem. And as soon as you're done, I will open microphones.
Sure. And I'd like to say one last time, this was like a real experience, like being with the tour guide. So if you appreciated this tour and you want to show your appreciation, there's actually a virtual tip jar that we have. If you want to support us, we are trying our best to make ends meet, as they say, with the pandemic as it is. So Mariana, I don't know if you're able to share the virtual tip jar. If you go to our website, jewishmajorca.com, that's a place where you can go ahead and, we're very happy to receive any support that you feel that you would like to contribute. It's really a special thing. And thank you so much once again, National Library of Israel, for allowing the opportunity for us to get this story out. We think this story is so important. It shows how stupid and terrible that hate and intolerance is. These group of people have been, ostracized just for having a last name. Some of them were more Catholic than the other Catholics. It's just an incredible story that I really hope people can find something to connect to and resonate with about, identity, about community, about family. And we also are bringing our, story to other parts of the world. We are every Thursday going to visit other Jewish communities in other parts of the world. And I know Daron is already coming with us on some of our adventures. We're going to pack them in our suitcase. And this August, we're visiting different synagogues around the world. So our first one is coming up, St. Petersburg, this Thursday. And then we'll be going to Berlin, to the Frankenfeller Synagogue, and learning about that restoration project. And then we're going to go live. If you really enjoyed this live experience, we're going to be live in Mexico City with one of our dear friends, Monica and Paola. And we are going to be in their synagogue as well. And then in September, we're going to be connecting with Jews who are living in Muslim countries, Bahrain, Morocco, the Emirates, and Tunisia. And so we're really leaning into this virtual world, and we think it's an opportunity to connect with so many stories all over the world. November, we'll be in North America. We just have so many cool things going on. So we really invite you all to jump on the ride and come on the adventure with us. We think it's really exciting to be able to connect with so many people from so many different places like we did today. So thank you so much. My email, for anyone who wants to write it down, is jewishmajorca@gmail.com. Could be simpler, Jewish Majorca, spell it with a J. We're trying to put back the J in Majorca, jewishmajorca@gmail.com. I'll send you those book recommendations. There's even some documentaries online for free on YouTube that are quite fascinating about the subject. One is with Rabbi Shaul Friedberg. If there's any people still on the line that know Rabbi Shaul, he has a documentary that's online right now on YouTube. And I can't wait to share with everyone our documentary once it comes out. It's called Chueta Island. And please be on the lookout for it soon in major Jewish film festivals. And yeah, we really can't wait to connect with all of you in the future. And please feel free to open your microphones and say hello. I'm always happy to connect with everyone. Thanks again, everyone. Toda rabah.
Toda rabah ve'layla tov from Jerusalem.
No.
Taco and I say goodbye.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Adiós. Que te vaya bien.
Adiós.
Muy interesante.
Muchas
Genial.
gracias.
Buenísimo. Adiós.
Muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias a vosotros.
Great job.
A ti.
Laila tov, lihitraot.
Laila tov. Ciao.
And happy early Shana Tova. It's quite early. Ready.
Great job.
Shan of England, thank you very much.
Thanks, Karen.
Great
Hello,
job.
Stadium.
Thank you.
Great job.
Fabulous.
Donnie, to you and your family, Chag Sameach.
Chag Sameach. Toda rabah.
Hi,
Thank you so much for
Danny.
joining.
Hi, Danny from New York.
Hey, who's that?
Hi, Danny from New Jersey.
Hey, my compatriots, New York, New
Yes.
Jersey.
My daughter grew up with your sister at camp.
Really?
Yes, Lindsay Hofflick.
Lindsay Hofflick. No way. I'll have to mention that to Tamar.
Oh,
So
she's gonna
fun.
be so excited.
I'm gonna try to remember.
Wonderful.
Lindsay Hofflick.
Lindsay.
I'm so happy you joined.
Oh,
That's
I've been
great.
I've been traveling the world with you. It's been wonderful.
Of course.
I've been everywhere. I haven't left my seat, but I've gone everywhere.
You've
Exhausting.
virtually been all over the world, right?
Yeah. I love Taco. I love you. Thank you.
Dani,
thank you so
from
much.
Italy.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for joining. I hope everyone is staying cool in the heat of August.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Be well.
Yeah, the Renee, I just saw your chat coming up. The books that I mentioned are in English. So those three books, The Chuetas of Majorca, Chuetas. I'm just going to show you this beautiful sunset, everyone. I don't want you to miss it, those who are still on the line. This is the beautiful fountain.
We have it.
The Conversos of Majorca and Those of the Street. Those are the three books. I'll be super happy to send you my bibliography so you guys can read up these books. There's also a wonderful book called In the Last Blue, and it's translated from Catalan into English, and it's a fictional account. It's like an unbelievable telenovela that talks about the secret escape. And by the way, I forgot to mention while we were still on the chat that this is part one of a 7-part series. So if you're interested in learning more about the crypto Jews or Jewish roots in the Majorcan cuisine today, or learning about Jewish refugees hiding in Majorca during the Holocaust, or even about the Jewish revival taking place today, we have a whole series, and we'd be happy, very happy to do any of these series and live walking tours with your communities, with your shuls, with your JCCs, or even with your families. I've actually done about 10 or so like anniversary gifts or mother's birthdays where they've invited their family and we've gone on like a live walking tour. And actually Karen, I don't know if Karen's still on the line, but she's one of our dear friends.
Yes,
over
she's here.
There's Karen, Sight Seeker's Delight. If you like this, you're gonna love Karen. You got to go to Paris, virtual Paris with Karen. She's phenomenal. And we're really excited about connecting with, guides who are working in the virtual world. And so it's a really cool, exciting opportunity. And if anyone has any interest in connecting us with communities or schools or anything like that, we really are excited to get the story out to as many people as possible.
What we're doing is we've opened up doors now, my friend, to get people to learn stories that they've never even thought that they wanted to know.
Right. How many people would have come to Majorca and just laid on the beach the whole time and never even knew about this history, you know,
Yeah.
or walk down the streets of Paris and miss all the cool, incredible things that you're talking about in your story.
Exactly, exactly. It's amazing. It's
Aw, so
amazing.
cool.
That was awesome.
We've got more to go, more to do together. So I'm really
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing all of you online. Feel free to get in touch. We always like connecting with anyone and everyone. And yeah, have an early Shana Tova, everyone. See you very soon.
Right.
Shana Tova.
Bye. Adios.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.